Hi, my name is Joanne Spazziano, and I live in Cranston, and I'm a teacher in Cranston. My big concern is with the Common Core standards that are being implemented in Rhode Island and in many states across the United States. My bigger concern, not so much with the Common Core standards, because as a teacher I do understand that we have to set standards and that we have a benefit to students by having common standards across the board for all our students. So in fact, if a student from Cranston transfers to Pawtucket, they're basically following the same curriculum all across the state, and I do agree with that. The problem that I have is with the actual testing. The new PARCC test that's coming out, which has already been initially tested in New York, for example, is flawed. Its basis is flawed. We actually have, I've got some paperwork and I've got some reports already that I'll give you that shows that it's flawed. The testing that has been developed by companies such as Pearson, it's designed to present a test 4 times a year. Well, that's 4 times a year that a company gets paid to look at the testing and say, gee, these are how the kids are scoring. That looks like a lot of money for some big corporations, as far as I'm concerned. And also, in those numbers that have been released, I have a study from Brooklyn and a study from Buffalo. Obviously, the diversity in Brooklyn is quite different than in Buffalo, New York. And in both of those studies, they've shown that students score 30 to 40% lower than they have in previous grades. Now, as a parent of 3 children, I can tell you that I won't believe that my child who scored in the proficient or above proficient range in the 4th grade suddenly is scoring in the average or below average range in the next grade up. What happened? I know that that child didn't fall asleep in the summer like Rip Van Winkle and wake up 10 years later with a beard. I know that child didn't have hot dogs all summer and absorb nitrates. I know this child was well fed. I know that there's nothing wrong here at home. I know this child...
The tests haven't been implemented though yet,
Right.
right?
After this PARCC testing, their scores dropped 30 to 40%. What you're doing is you're saying, all right, something's wrong here. And as a teacher, if my students drop that much, I would take a step back and I would say, oh, something's wrong here with this test. I need to either re-look at the test or I need to do some reteaching. But I'm thinking it's the test, and I'm wondering what you as a legislator and what the group of people that you work with in Washington are starting to do to look at this. Teachers across the United States have been saying this test is flawed. Something's wrong with this test. But Arnie Duncan is pushing this, and he thinks it's just wonderful. And I really have my concerns about this, and I'm wondering what you can do to help us.
Okay. So thank you for your question and your concern. You know, I recognize that we have to have some form of assessment. And just as I've never been one to believe that just a one sole test can assess a teacher's ability to teach, that we have to test to be more holistic than that. Just the same thing with our students, that it's not just one test that is going to give us the assessment of an accurate picture of a student's level of performance. So I know that we're going to look to see how the tests, the new tests are implemented and the results that we get from them. Hopefully they'll be informative and there'll be adjustments that will be made from there. But you know, I hear your concern. I hear what you're saying about the new Common Core standards as they're being implemented and how they're being tested. And I will be glad to continue to keep an open dialogue with you as to how we can make the tests better and give a more accurate picture of a student's performance levels. But I don't know that I'm ready to say, first of all, this is something that's going to be implemented at the state level, and the test will be designed and implemented at the state level. And so I'll be in touch, of course, stay in touch with our state legislators and with the Department of Education here and what Deborah Gist is doing. But I don't have an action plan that I can propose to you right now as to how we would alter the test, because we haven't even really seen the results of them yet. But I share your concern that I want to make sure that both as I do with our teachers, making sure that we're getting an accurate assessment of how well our teachers are doing. And I don't want to just say that a single test gives us an accurate picture of a teacher's ability to teach. I also we need to understand that not just one test or a series of tests is going to be the only thing we can use to understand how well our students are performing.